Welcome back to Dottie's Adventures. Today I'm going to give you a tour of Dottie. Now, I was hoping for a nice sunny day to be able to do this, but looking at the weather forecast, I'm not going to get that for a little while, so we're going to do it on a bit of a miserable day. But before I do that, I'm actually meeting up with the lady who I bought Dottie from. Now, there is a story around this, and I don't know if you know it. If you've followed me from the start, you will. But basically, my friend Mandy, her brother bought this vehicle as a wheelchair adapted Peugeot Partner Tepee because her mum was in a wheelchair, and very, very sadly Mandy's mum passed away a year past June, and Mandy and her brother had decided that Mandy was going to keep the car because she does wild swimming and she was going to do the conversion herself just with a boot jump. But unfortunately, for one reason or another, that didn't happen. So when I bought the car from Mandy in early August 2025, so literally a couple of months ago, one of the things that I think she was really pleased about was the fact that it was going to be converted and loved and used, and this will be the first time she's seen Dottie since the day she handed it over to me. And although I've kept her up to date with some of the videos, she's not seen the full conversion. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, I can persuade her to come on camera and share her thoughts on what she thinks of Dottie now that she's converted. I'm not going to force her to if she doesn't want to, obviously, but I will catch you up on what she thinks about the conversion, and we will also do the full tour. I hope you'll enjoy it. So, I'm really nervous to show you.
Nervous, I'm really excited.
She's filthy. I wish I could have washed her beforehand.
Oh, bless. Oh, wow. What did you do?
Tell me what you think.
I love it. I can't believe you've got so much in it. It's just amazing. It actually looks bigger.
It does
and
look
I didn't
bigger,
imagine that you were going to be able to achieve so much in such a small area.
It's so usable. I think that's, you know, people live in micro campers full time. Yeah. I don't know how they do it, but they do. But it's absolutely about looking at the space you've got and making the most of it, you know, so it works.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I'm so unbelievably happy with how it's turned out. And I've said this before when we were in the cafe, and I know if I say it again, I'll well up. But you gave me the opportunity to make my dream come true,
and I'm living it through you.
We're a right pair, aren't we? We just this is standard practice. When we get together, we have a few tears, but they're tears of love. But yeah, I didn't expect to be able to do this so soon, and I didn't expect to be able to do it on the budget that I have, and you've enabled that. I'm so grateful to you.
I'm grateful that I still get to see him, and that for me is a big plus.
I still think one day we need to go out and
Dottie's Adventures
have an adventure together, and we'll go. And I know you're massively into nature, and she does wild swimming. I don't think she's ever going to get me to do that, at least not unless it's very, very warm. I think
we will see.
We can probably find somewhere we can go together.
Together.
National Trust somewhere, and go and enjoy it. I have been trying to do this walk-through van tour video for 2 days now, and the weather hasn't been great. I don't think, it's too dull. However, if I don't do it, it's going to get worse because the weather isn't looking like it's going to get any better. So I'm going to do the van tour, and forgive me if the weather, or the light rather, isn't that great. So, welcome to Dottie. Let me tell you a little bit about her in case you're new around here. So Dottie is a 2013 Peugeot Partner Tepee. She was wheelchair adapted when we got her, which meant she had a ramp and a winch, so you could get a wheelchair in there. That meant all of the chairs or the seats in the back, bar one, had been removed, and the floor had been dropped to allow a ramp for the wheelchair to get up. I bought this vehicle off a friend who you met in this video, and we set about converting it. So let me just step inside and we'll have a chat because it's getting a little bit chilly. Alrighty, hopefully it's not so dark in here that you can't see me. Right, so what I thought I would do is start at the front of the cab and work our way back and show you exactly what we've done. Now I've got my all important cup of tea because, you know, it's got to be done. So in all honesty, the front is pretty much as you would expect. The only thing we've done is put in a CarPlay system, an aftermarket, non-integrated CarPlay system. It's called a CarPuride, and that gives me the ability to see my phone on a bigger screen, so for things like Google Maps, etc. I keep my dry robe over the seat here because it's a nice easy place to keep it. If you haven't got one of those, they are so good, and I just keep it attached with a little bit of bungee around the headrest. I've got a little bit of a box up there with bits and pieces in. Storage is so important, so I have baskets and boxes everywhere. Above the cab up here I keep coats, a scarf, hats. I've got a sun hat, I've also got a woolly hat, I've also got a peaked cap. In here I keep some pegs and a black shower curtain. And the shower curtain is basically, it was dead cheap, just a straightforward plain black shower curtain in there like that, and that gets pegged up on the parcel shelf, or the cab shelf, and that is my divider. So when I go to sleep at night I pin that up. I also have thermal blinds for the front window and the side windows that I made the one for the front window. The side windows, they came off another van and they just about fit. And what with that and the blackout shower curtain, it means that I've got complete privacy, and I just tuck it back into this little bag. It's just a bag I had in the house. I also normally keep an umbrella up there, but it's in my bag at the minute because I went out earlier and it was wet. So in the centre of the console, I have a box at the front, just in front of the gear stick there. That has my sweets and snacks for when I'm about. I've got 2 cup holders, and I just keep a little thermos flask in the car all the time. Coming down, I've got another soft basket here that's got my torch in. It's got my 12-volt lead for my power bank, my Bluetti power bank. I've got a hairbrush, a couple of torches actually, that's just a little one. And then I bought this bigger, chunkier, very bright torch. And that all just, as I say, stays in the centre there, in the central console between the 2 seats. On the back of the passenger seat, I've got a couple of these headrest hooks. Again, all just off Amazon. These are great. They just go around the headrest post. It means I can hang. Here I've got a hat. I should have put the wide-angled lens on this and I haven't, sorry. I've got a hat, I've got my waterproof jacket hanging up here. In the pockets on the back of the seat, this is my rear thermal blind and my the back side windows thermal blind there. In this little bag here that hangs up on the back of the seat, I keep toiletries. So I've got a headband, I've got mozzie spray, I've got toothpaste and a toothbrush, I've got my fussy deodorant and soap and things like that. You don't need to see the inside contents. That's the problem with being in here, it's actually quite tight. Right, so the other side, if I just move the cushions here, I just bought this sort of organiser off Temu. It was very cheap. I'm not a big fan of Temu, but sometimes, you know, it's got to be done. So here I've just got my vanity mirror. So if I open that up, it's got the normal mirror. It's also got a magnifying mirror. But what I like about this is it sits like this, so I can put it on the kitchen unit, and it's also got a light. It just tucks away when I'm not using it. I've also in here got a little Nutridol air freshener and a roll of toilet roll. Moving around, up here I've got my fairy lights and fake plants, fake little daisies, and just some decorations because I wanted it to feel girly and I don't know, a little bit country-ish. My curtains, these are just velcroed up here. These were just made from some old material that I had from a quilt cover. I haven't really actually used them because I normally just put thermal blinds up at the windows, but if I wanted to, nothing is easy with one hand, and then just roll them down and I've got curtains there. But as I say, I don't really roll them down very often. I've got my beautiful fan that I was gifted when I did some work for a beautiful group of ladies in a gospel church down in Luton, which I love. Back here I've got my little owl that my friend Tracy made, and when I turn this on, it becomes a little night light. How gorgeous is that? Moving down, I've got my little picture. So in the windows, I made these thermal blinds, and in the back windows, they stay in all of the time. They're such a good fit. They just slot in. I just templated the window. But my little, would you like an adventure or shall we have tea first? I just thought was very apt for Dottie. Another curtain here. As we move over, this is just the light for the fairy lights across the top, and I've also got a couple of these little push button lights that I have. They're battery operated, and if I need them when it's dark, I can light the van up with them. Moving over to the other side, I've just got this little hanging decoration. This is also where I hang my keys at night, so I know exactly where they are. Up here, another set of fairy lights, so if I go in here, I should be able to turn them on. There we go. Just another, what I wanted, because I've got no power, I've got no leisure battery or anything in Dottie. I wanted everything to be battery operated. So I've got my lights here, all on either USB or batteries. Again, a curtain across this window and more decorations on my fairy doors. So if I keep going backwards then, over there we've got my pop-up toilet tent or changing tent that I have used when I've been away. It's useful because it gives you an extra bit of storage if you want somewhere to stand up and get changed. Just put my hat on there. I also keep one of these collapsible ottoman type things, which are great because I can sit on it. It will take my weight. And in here I've just got some warm clothes and some extra blankets. Still moving back, I'm going to do the kitchen first and then I'll come on to the bed in a moment. I should say that when I get to a campsite when I'm sleeping, this actually, the ottoman thing goes in the front if it's not collapsed down, and it just gives me a little bit more space. I've got this pop-up shelf on this side and the same on the other side, and this is great because it means when I'm sitting on the bed I can use this either to put my butane stove on, or to put my laptop on, or to eat from, so it's really useful. I also keep one of these lap trays. You see that? One of those sort of foam ball filled lap trays just underneath here. And then that just also gives me an additional bit of sort of top, if you like, another bit of tabletop space, and that works really well. But moving along, we've got this worktop. It's actually quite a bit deeper, I think, than most people in a micro camper would use. We got the width based on the units that I used to build the kitchen. So it is quite deep, but I don't mind that because when we get to show you the bed, you'll see that I don't have an extension bed. It is just fixed. So I'd rather have the extra counter space anyway. And this is just laminated MDF. It's a piece of tabletop that we had anyway. I use a lot of this black rubber matting, and basically once you put something on it, it does not shift. So I've just got my little bird there as a decoration. I don't know where I'm going to put him. He's there at the minute so he doesn't move around, but I'll probably find a different home for him. I keep my important tin of English tea bags there, normally Yorkshire tea, nothing else is as good. And I just keep this little basket with everything in it. So that's a pair of sunglasses, that's an empty jar that I haven't decided what to put in it yet. Some receipts, I should probably get rid of those. That's obviously turning into a dumping ground. They're just some day cream, nourishing day cream sachets I must have been given at some point. A little bit of faux greenery in a little tin mug. I have my espresso coffee maker. I'm not a massive coffee drinker. I'm definitely a tea girl, but if I ever, sometimes, I do fancy a coffee, but also if I ever run out of milk, I drink my coffee black, so I know I can always get a drink. And then I've just got a little smelly candle, because why not? It's nice and cozy, and I stick it well away from anything over here, so it all works well. So they just stay in there, and quite honestly, they do not move around. They just stay where they're meant to be. On the back over here, if I keep going round, I had thought about, let me move this out of the way so you can see. I had thought about getting window boxes made up for the rear windows, but they are quite expensive. And I came across this old wooden wine box that we had. I picked up ages ago from a lady on Free Cycle, and I decided, oh, actually that works quite well, it fits nicely. So in here I've just got my little spray bottle. In there is a mixture of washing up liquid and water, and I just use that with my little sink to wash up mugs and things like that. Speaking of mugs, let me grab a drink of tea. Oh, that's gone cold. Inside the box, I've obviously got my vase here with some flowers in it. They're all obviously fake flowers. I've got a teaspoon that I keep in there. Actually, I've got a couple of teaspoons that I keep in there. I've just pulled the lid off it. This is just washing up liquid that I use to top up this when this runs out, or if I do want something more concentrated, if I want to put it into a washing up bowl, I've got it there. In here I've just got my Hurdy mug in case I fancy a mug of tea rather than a cup. That is ground coffee, that is salt, and then I've got these two little bottles for white wine vinegar and olive oil, and then I've got some salt and pepper, but actually I don't know why I keep that in here because the salt grinder isn't working anymore. I've also got a couple of coasters, so I just keep these lovely little heart coasters. I think there's a couple of them in there. Is there another one? Yep, there's another one. I've got my chopping board at the back, and then I just keep one of these builder's lights, actually, like a USB, don't know what you'd call it, just like a work lamp, and if I turn that on you'll see how bright it is. There we go. So I have that as a backup light in case I need it, and that just stays slotted down the back there like that. I've also got, this was just a little book light that I've had for many, many years. You clip it onto the pages of your book and it gives you a reading light, but I just keep it here. So I've again got another little bit of light. I think I've got a bit of a fear of not being able to get any light in the van. So I have various and numerous different sources of light. I've also just in here, I just keep one of these little silicone oven mitts that I always think looks a bit like a shark puppet, and I just keep that there, partly because it's useful when I'm cooking if I need to pick something up that's hot, and also it kind of stops everything rattling around. Over here I've just got my little tin mug that says, Bev, making memories, home is where we park it. And I just keep my dishcloth in there, and it just tucks away down there. So I just put these things back so I stay tidy, because you can get very untidy very quickly in a small van. Really important, I've got a CO monitor. This is just a bungee that I keep around the bottom of the tap, because you never know when you're going to need a bungee. This is a 12 volt, not 12 volt, a USB tap. So I have a 5 litre fresh and 5 litre waste water system. So we made the sink just using an old salad bowl, stainless steel salad bowl that I had. We cut a hole in the top. There's a video on this actually. I'll put a link to the playlist for the build if you haven't seen it already. We just dropped it in a hole into the worktop, and we fitted a waste pop-up plug waste there. And then we've got this USB tap that gives me, if I just run it, cold running water. It's just that I haven't got a lot of water left in the bottle, as you'll see in a moment. And then we just used the cutout that we had left from the worktop, and my husband made me a insert for the sink. So that just goes there. It means that I can pop things in the sink and they're out of the way. It also means I've got a little bit of a solid base if I want to put something on there, and when I flip it over it becomes a chopping board or it becomes a trivet, all that sort of thing, all good stuff. And then this is just a piece of rubber. It's designed for a full-size sink, and it goes around your tap, and it just helps any water that drops on here drain out. To be honest, it was pretty useless when it came to using it on our kitchen sink, and I've just chopped it down because it was too long. And it's more just to give me something to pop things on, like a little draining space. So moving on underneath. Now, I deliberately went for curtains and boxes, and rather than cupboards, drawers and shelves. So I've got 2 curtains just on a very simple curtain rail. So if I take that one back, it's a very small space to be showing you this in. I've got another curtain wire, just one of those stretchy curtain wires here that I keep my kitchen roll on. Underneath here I've got a fire blanket, and let me see if I can go down here and show you. I've got at the back, I don't know if you can see that, there's a blue canister. That's my fresh water, 5 litres. The white one in front is the waste, or the grey water, and that here is just the waste outlet from the sink. I've got a collapsible washing up bowl back there. I've got a little basket at the back with bits and bobs in, just cleaning cloths and things. And then I've also got this 2 litre pink water bottle, which is what my hose for the tap is in at the moment. And because that's not really where it's designed to be, that's why I didn't have any running water. Normally I would have that hose into the blue canister at the back, but I've just got it in that one for now. Behind this little bungee to keep everything in, I have got one of my favourite little things is just this tiny little dustpan and brush, really just big enough to just clean crumbs and things off the countertop, and just to pick up any bits and bobs off the floor. In here I've got a box full of little UHT milk sachets, so I don't have to remember to take fresh milk with me. In this box, we've all got that kind of junk box that's got all sorts in it. So I've got some double-sided sticky Velcro, I've got some magnets and hooks. I've got some, I don't know what you call those, hooks and eyes. Just a little empty Tupperware. I've got some spare pegs, some nano tape, some green braid. I don't know why I've got that in here. It's another little Tupperware box. That's my kettle lead, and that is just my junk, you know, like a junk drawer really. That's a spare one. I haven't actually put anything in that yet. In here is, I don't know if you'll be able to see this. Let me show you. Oh, I'll tell you why it's not opening. Because I've got my hot water bottle, my fluffy hot water bottle. Right, now I can open it. So I've got my gas kettle. There should be a lid for that in here. But I have got a very special new kettle arriving, hopefully today actually. If it arrives before I finish this video, I'll show you it. But that's the one that I use if I'm not on electric hookup. I just use it with the gas burner. Also in here I have got just a little mini sieve. I've got a little pop-up pan. These are really good actually. So my pan has its lid, just pops out like that. So then it's like a decent sort of milk pan or saucepan, and it just pops up or pops back. The lid just drops in and that takes up no space at all. Got a copper wok with a steel base, so it's suitable for an induction hob or gas, and this is just a really good size for one person, and it doubles as a wok, a frying pan, an extra pan. It's just brilliant. If you're going to have a pan and you've only got space for one pan, buy a small wok because they are so good. I've just got a little sieve. You take everything out and then it doesn't all fit back in the box. I'm not sure how I got it all in there. Those boxes just fit in beautifully into that centre gap, and everything tucks away and everything's got its place. And I think that's the most important thing in a micro camper. You've got to give things a place and put them back in their place, because if you don't, believe it or not, you can lose things even in such a small vehicle. As I said, I chose not to have drawers or cupboards. The reason I didn't want cupboard doors is because, as you can see, there's not a lot of gap between the kitchen and the bed. So with a curtain, it just pulls across, or as I've done here, I've just popped it up out of the way. So in here, these plastic boxes just came from Lidl. They came as a set of 7, I think. The 3 big ones, these 2 long ones, and the 3 smaller ones that you saw before that I had my milk in, and they just fit well together. So I have a little small one here, and that keeps all my kitchen utensils. So I've got things like a gas lighter, tin opener, just a spatula, strainer type thing. I've got scissors, I've got a little microblade grater, I've got my solitary little egg cup, knives and forks. I've got a little silicone spatula, a wooden spatula. I've probably got far more than I need in here. Some sharper knives for, you know, shopping. I've got a potato peeler, a little pair of tongs. Yeah, you know, I've probably got things I don't need, a garlic press, but I had 2 of everything. And I thought, well, I might as well put them in here, and then I've got them when I need them. So that just sits on top with all my stuff in. Have I got 2 egg cups? No, just 1. I just missed it when I put it back in the drawer. And then inside here, I've got a couple of teacups, because, you know, I love a cup of tea in a proper china cup, and if I've ever got company, I want to be able to give them a cup of tea in a proper china cup. So I've got 2 saucers, 2 cups, a plastic wine glass, some plastic cereal bowls, just a couple of those, and then a couple of plastic plates. They all just sort of slot together in there, and then, as I say, that goes in and it all pushes back in, and that is my kitchen drawer. Second drawer down, this is my food drawer. So food and snacks. So I've got rice, I've got, oh, bin bags, they shouldn't be in there. Oh, they can stay for now. Things like tins of soup, tuna, anything that kind of won't go off. What is this? We've got raisins, pasta, super noodles, you know, kind of ready noodles. They go there. Now I'm going to have to put you on pause for a second because I need to get these drawers out in order to get to the bottom one. That is the one design flaw of this system, because I've got a bar across the bottom to stop everything flying out. So just give me a second. So yeah, I just need to take this drawer out and make sure that I only keep things that I don't use very often in here. So there's a wooden base underneath each of the plastic boxes, which means I can take them out. Right, so in here, I don't know if you can see, I've got a plastic chopping board. I should definitely have done this when the light was better. I've got a little milk pan there. I have got, you wouldn't believe it, but I've got the light between my legs here. I've got my little collapsible kettle, which, I'll tell you what, right, here's a better way to do it. Rather than showing you down there, I'll bring what's in there up here. Right, so got a plastic chopping board with one of those sort of angled bits so that you can tip stuff out. This is my little electric kettle. It's absolutely brilliant. I think it's only about 500 or 600 watts, and it just expands like that, and it boils in forever, but it saves the gas. Just a little milk pan. I've not used that yet. A Ridge Monkey. If you've not seen one of these are really good. I don't know if I'm going to keep that in here though, because we'll probably want this in our other van, and I don't really want to be topping and changing. But these are just our little sandwich toasters, but they make great like a dual frying pan. But the beauty is when you put the lid down, it doesn't spatter everywhere, and they come with the handles and also some little utensils in there. I don't really use the utensils that are in there, but that is brilliant. Everybody raves about their Ridge Monkey, and I bought one thinking, oh, I bet it's a load of hype, but actually they're really, really good. The things that I can, I'll put links in the description. There will be affiliate links, Amazon affiliate links. What that means, in case you don't know, is if you use the link down below to any of the stuff that I talk about, and you buy it through my link, you will pay exactly the same, if not possibly a little bit less. So it doesn't make a difference to what you pay, but Amazon give me a teeny tiny bit of commission. So it just means also that rather than you seeing something and going, oh, that looks really good, and then having to go and spend ages trying to find it, I'll put the link to it below. If you choose not to use that link, that's absolutely fine. But if you do use it, it just means, as I say, I might get just a little bit of commission. And then this is another little collapsible stuff, is brilliant for space saving. And this is just a little collapsible bucket. Now it's only a diddy bucket. It's really small. It's about half the size of an ordinary bucket. But it does mean if you're doing washing up or anything like that, you can get water, or, you know, if I want to use it in conjunction with the collapsible washing up bowl, it's just good to have, you know, something that you can carry water in, but that doesn't take up a whole load of space. Right, I'll show you the bed in 1 second. Let me put this lot away. Right, I'm finding bits and pieces that I've pulled out of drawers and cupboards everywhere. It's going to be a bit of a job tomorrow to tidy everything up. Right, so on the edge here of the kitchen, I've got a little pop out, again, extendable little waste bin. And that's great if I need to put something small inside the van. I've got space, but it also hangs just the same on the other side. So if I'm inside and I need a waste bin, I can hang it on the other flip out. But if I take that away, I've just got my tea towel hanging up here, and again this just flips out and gives me a bit more counter space, especially if the weather's nice and I want to cook outside, which, to be honest, if the weather's nice, I will generally try and do, because it's a lot easier than cooking inside the van. And then over here I've got my bed. Now I went for a fixed bed as opposed to a pull-out extending one, because I'm the only person that's ever going to be sleeping in here. So under all of these blankets, I just shove all the cushions out of the way. Under here I've got 3 inches of firm density or high density foam that I covered to make seat covers. Again, if you're interested, go and have a look at the van build playlist, which I'll link below, because it's all in there. They're actually in 2 halves, and the reason that they're in 2 halves is because I wanted to be able to easily access under the bed. So these flip up, and I've got some boxes and things in there. I've got my draft excluder in case it gets drafty. I've got my portable toilet under there in the black bag. Generally, I don't have a plastic box here. So what I normally do with my clothes is I have them in those pink packing cubes, but I don't put them in a plastic box, because it's actually much easier to access them instead of lifting everything up, to just access them from under here. And you can't do that if they're in a plastic box. It's just because we've just been away and I had other stuff in there, so that's still in there. Down the other end, on the other side of the bed, it's going to be a bit dark to show you. I've just got a few bags, and in those bags I've got my induction hob sits under there, some of my camera peripheral stuff, so tripods and things I tend to keep in here, and we'll go in the side door and I'll show you what else is down there. The best bit about this van, and the bit that I think gives me so much more space, I wouldn't say it's the best bit, but it's certainly a novelty to have in a van this small, is so much garage space. So as I said at the beginning, it was a wheelchair adapted vehicle. This was the ramp, but we chopped most of it off and it just creates this step. Under here, we've divided it into 2 halves. So I've got a whole load of space back there, and I keep things like, that's my thermal blind for the front screen. And if you can see, I've got my yoga mat and also my outdoor mat. I'm not going to drag those out because they're right up the front there. That's my sleeping bag, so that's what I use when I'm going to sleep. I tend to just put my sleeping bag on the bed, and then I have throw blankets that keep me warm, so I have layers rather than a big thick quilt, and that seems to work really well for me. Again, on this side of the storage in here, I've got these are just walking poles, foldable walking poles, because I've got dodgy knees, and also walking poles just make walking easier. And then I've got these thermal covers for the side passenger and driver side windows in the front of the cab. This is my electric hookup cable. So I don't have a leisure battery in the vehicle, but if I want electric hookup, I can get electric hookup from a campsite just by plugging that into the hookup point on the site. I think the trick to doing these van tours is to have somebody else holding the bloomin' camera. So this is what I was talking about. These are absolutely brilliant. So it's got 3 pin plug sockets, and also a couple of USB sockets there, and it's got the RCD and sort of the fuse trip thing, so you know it's absolutely safe. Under here I also keep my table, so that I haven't got the tabletop out. I'm just going to show you this. So this is just a little camping table. So when we were designing the garage space, we realised that if you put something in at the front, it can go a long way back and it's not easy to get to. So Mark made me these pull-out drawers on wheels that just mean with this long handle I can get in and out, and they're brilliant. So in here I've got a couple of camping chairs, I've got some spare butane gas canisters, and that's actually a spare butane gas cooker. And that just all stays, because I don't use it very often, that just stays there. Right, let's go around to the sides and I'll show you quickly the last couple of bits. So underneath the bed here, as you can see, I can get through to the bags. As I was saying earlier, I keep things in bags rather than boxes, and that's because actually it's much easier. So in here, in this little basket, got my little bum bag for when I go walking. I've got my journal. I've got some more of that black, I'm waving things. I've got my journal, some more of that black rubber matting. I've been looking for this. This is my little crocheted hanging basket. I've got a lot of work to do tomorrow, haven't I, to tidy this lot up. I've got my little USB clip-on fan. That is a game changer in the hot weather. And then on the other hand, when it's cold, I've got a little plug-in electric heater, and that thing heats the van up really, really quickly. I've also got, at the minute, it doesn't normally stay in here, my camera. Right, so let's go around the other side and we will finish this very, very long tour. Just got my little hello welcome mat. At the back of the kitchen here, I've got a hook, and I've just got one of these net bags that's got some air freshener, a couple of little empty bottles, a couple of tea towels, my sun cream. I've got a tea towel this end as well. Back here I've got a bigger dustpan and brush. In there I've got my very important fire extinguisher. And that is pretty much everything in the van. I'm sure I'll remember something and think, oh, I should have told you about that and I've forgotten. Oh, I should just say we've got loads of cubby holes in here, and there are a few bits that I haven't shown you actually. So in the door I keep things like map books and spare hooks. Behind the behind the passenger seat, I keep just one of those little pop-up steps. So it is quite high actually to get into the side, especially when you're my age. So I just have one of those little step stools. And then also back here, let's get rid of some of the stones. I keep my butane gas stove. So this is the one I use most of the time, and then I've got another one, as I say, in the boot. For some reason, I've got two. So, that important stuff down there, I don't know if you can see those, my Crocs. So actually it is amazing how much stuff I can get into this van. I absolutely love it. Let me know what you think. I apologise for the fact that this is really not the best video I've ever done, but you know, keeping it real. Perhaps at some point in the near future I'll get Mark to come and we'll do a better one. I don't know, but I wanted to get it done because I know a few of you have been asking to see the whole thing. So I hope that gives you a little bit of an idea of how she all goes together and how I've managed to fit so much into this space. As I've already mentioned, she doesn't have any additional electricity. She doesn't have a leisure battery. There's no electrical system in her. Generally when I'm travelling I have a little small 600 watt Bluetti, which isn't really powerful enough to do anything with. My plan on the wish list is to get a much bigger, more powerful power bank so that I can go off grid and I can use the heater if I need to, and the induction hob and that sort of thing. Most of the time, to be honest, I will try and be staying on campsites and I use the hookup cable, so I've got electricity. The other thing that I will probably try and get at some point in the future is a little 12-volt fridge, because you'll notice there's nowhere in Dottie to keep things cool. I sometimes use a cool box, It's not very effective. It would be all right in this weather, but it wasn't great in the summer. But my plan is to get a 12-volt fridge. Again, that will run off the power bank. Ultimately, I might get a solar panel put on the roof that will potentially help to power the power bank, but this is all stuff for the future. At the moment, it is a very simple build. I think the whole conversion cost less than £300. I will do a video very soon where I break down the costs for everything, including the cost of the vehicle, the cost of insurance and tax, and also the cost involved in doing the conversion. Now, bear in mind that we did all of this ourselves. I'm very lucky that my husband Mark has the skills to be able to do a lot of the work in here. None of it, actually, looking at it, is particularly difficult. Having now watched him and helped him, I realise it's not that difficult. It's just having the confidence to have a go. So yes, it's a very simple conversion, but I will do a breakdown of costs, so hopefully you'll find that interesting. Anyway, I'm going to go. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, please hit the thumbs up button. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not already. It makes a huge difference. And drop any questions that you might have in the comments. If I've not covered something and you're thinking, why didn't you cover that? Just let me know and I will try and remember to do it in the next or future video. And I will see you all again soon. Take care. Right. Whew. Now let's get all this tidied up.